Okay. Um, so because actually um, we're actually out of time, so we just want to run fast and not spend so much time. Uh, you check on your agenda, you see that the next speaker that we're going to have, of course, is a special address by the leadership for leadership at the Summit 2024, confronting global uncertainty. This man I'm going to be bringing forward is a pharmacist, a politician, a businessman. Of course, he is the founder and former CEO of Name Pharmaceutical. The last time I was in your house, you gave me a book on, I think, Nigerian Civil War or something like that. I remember asking you, that was the last I had to do. This is a man who, in recognition of his service to Nigeria, is a recipient of three national honors. In 2021, he was awarded Member of the Order of the Niger MON by President Olusegun Obasanjo. By President in 2020. In 2011, he was awarded Officer of the Federal Republic with by President Olusegun and the National Productivity Order of Merit in 2018 by President Muhammadu Buhari. Please, ladies and gentlemen, with our hands not too busy, let's keep clapping as we welcome the chairman of these occasions, Mazi Dr. Sam Obapwa. Please, let's keep clapping for him. Please, let's keep clapping. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I wish to start by thanking God for the opportunity He has offered all of us to be here today. I always do not take His grace for granted. I like to acknowledge Him, and that not everybody who wanted to be here today is here. Those of us who are here certainly have some opportunity to thank God for the opportunity. I also want to say it's my honor and privilege to welcome all of the very distinguished speakers and delegates to this summit. For our brothers and sisters from other nations of Africa, I say welcome home. And to our foreign guests, I say welcome to Nigeria, the most significant country in Africa, with the burden of the largest population and also the privilege of the largest economy. We are speaking about global uncertainties, and I believe it is something that every leader by whatever denomination or definition, should pay attention. This year's Leadership Agenda Summit, I think, is beyond the ordinary. It's being organized fully conscious of the myriads of challenges confronting the world at this time. As we know, the world has become a global village, and whatever happens to one part of the village affects every other part in this century. And therefore, it's important that we review and understand the causes of the several activities and incidents and events which are happening all over the world and which have the propensity to affect our businesses, and affect our endeavors. In many nations today, the economic slowdown precipitated by the COVID-19 pandemic is yet to fully abate after inducing one of the longest lasting global inflation spirals ever seen. The world is facing several geopolitical tensions, proliferating, distressing uncertainties. And when you add to this another couple of other events with global implications, some of the critical events precipitating the uncertainties include the very well-known Russia-Ukraine war and its aftermath. Added to that is the Israel-Hamas war and its expansion to Lebanon, Yemen, Syria, Jordan, and maybe to Iraq. Dr. Brad mentioned about the upcoming 2024 presidential election in the USA, given the part and the role of the United States. The 2024 election has so many implications. And many other nations are also going through transitions. Before now, there were global alignments, but we've seen some recent global realignments that portend grave consequences. I don't want to see grave dangers. Today, you hear about the axis of evil. That axis has become very active currently. Some people call that same axis of evil as axis of resistance. And the axis of resistance has become fully reactivated. We are seeing how Russia, Iran, North Korea, China are making some rapprochement and planning to create an alternative world economic order in competition with the Bretton Woods system. We have also seen the impact, and it's also evolving, of the China and America economic war and its impact on global trade. The new non-aligned nations. For a long time, nobody had about non-aligned nations, but they've come back, now being led by South Africa, India, China, and Russia. And as I was speaking the other day, I said they are looking more aligned than non-aligned. You remember that it's South Africa that took Israel to the International Court of Justice. I do not know if that's a non-aligned activity. The intrusion of NATO into Eastern Europe and its present and future consequences. This was a trigger for the Russia-Ukrainian war. And many of the West Europeans and East European countries are entering that, and that has its implication. But the big elephant in the house is the climate change. Climate change, the realities are mixed. COP28 and its aftermath, including the effort to restrict or ban fossil fuels. And many nations, ours in Africa, are living alive today, kept alive by fossil fuels. So what's the implication of this tax on carbon? These uncertainties, I believe, have caused and are causing so much to us and so much disruptions and creating new paradigms in the environment. Some of them include the sustaining global inflation. Inflation in the last 2 to 3 years since post-COVID-19 has remained sustained, especially in Africa and the developing world. In the United States, the UK, there's a little bit of moderation right now, but it still remains a major motivation for central banks that have continued to increase MPR and interest rates. Interest rates are a key consideration for businesses in nations and also affects the ability to source income and funding for business growth or expansion. Inflation is continuously driving many more people to poverty, especially in countries that do not have a compensating adjustment of earnings based on inflation. We have seen a slowing down of global GDP, and we thought it was coming up post-COVID, but it's going down again because of high inflation and all these other activities that are disrupting global trade. We are seeing some great volatility in the price of crude oil and rising energy costs. Energy costs are becoming a major component of household spending, and therefore reducing the ability to have disposable incomes that can be invested in our products and services. Food scarcity and food inflation is still subsisting. We had the issue of scarcity of grains when Russia shut down Ukraine exports, and that hasn't abated, and yet we are having additional issues with food scarcity across the globe, and more so in our planet. We are seeing a higher cost of travel. Travel cost is expanding, and that is due to security considerations and also energy costs and exchange rate impact. All over the world, we are seeing higher cost of freight and insurance because some cargo need to be rerouted. You know what's going on in the Red Sea and some of the channels of trade. The Houthi rebels and other people that belong either to the axis of resistance or axis of people are trying to block international trade. So if you are shipping anything, importing anything, the costs are going up. So we are noticing that these global uncertainties are instigating high generalized cost of living and high cost of doing business all over the world. And we have seen an uptick of general global insecurity. Now, let me focus a little bit more towards Africa and gold to bring down those issues that are currently standing in our front, and which we as business leaders and opinion leaders must address to ensure finance nations and dollar will earn more foreign exchange, and that should bring down so many things, including the value of their currency. But the opposite happens here. So there may be an addition of dollars, foreign reserves, but there will be higher oil prices because that is what will affect the individual consumer who does not have access to the dollar, but is punished for the depreciation and the higher cost of crude petroleum. Even if you do local refining, you have to import crude as if you were in an international environment. That's not great thing about crude business. It's an international business, so I don't think they make exceptions for domestic markets. And when you look at that higher crude oil prices and increasing pump prices, increasing energy costs, and in an economy that's enduring a revenue crisis. Most countries in Africa have revenue crisis. They're not able to balance their budgets. They are into very high levels of deficit. And deficits promote inflation. Deficits lead to higher devaluation. So we are taking this on two arms as we go into 2024 and the years before. We are seeing a growth debt overhang, which is what I call the least line of resistance to revenue crisis.
When you can't earn more revenue, so what do? Borrow more. Buy new vehicles for senators and government officials. I don't think it's priority one. So but it looks like this debt overhang and great debt is just the least line of resistance for our leaders. And we need to confront that here and hereafter. Thirdly, is what sustained inflation in Africa as production declines. Because my experience that all the economy has learned in the world is that the sure way to fight inflation is to increase supply of products and services. The classical definition of inflation is when a lot of money is pursuing fewer goods or few goods and services. So the easiest thing I thought we all leaders, political and private, is to see how do we increase production. Rather than do so, we see in our climate a reduction in production. We have the ceaseless exit of multinationals from local manufacturing. We know the GSK, Sanofi, Procter and Gamble, Lever Brothers, so many are exiting from manufacturing, and some are exiting Nigeria and other African nations. And that's really a pain to me. I had to write a letter to the president. That is such a painful thing that while we're talking about increasing FDI, foreign direct investments, or attracting investment to our country, then the companies that have been in this climb are exiting. The optics do not show that we really are serious. You want to bring the investors, those who have stayed, survived, been able to pass through all the cycles of bust and booms we've had in the economy. And this is the time they're living. I can't understand it. And I thought that the president should pay attention to this and find out why. Why can't we attract new investments and still make sure that those who are in the market stay? Because the story they tell is not good story. The other issue that I think we should pay attention to is the democratization in our region, return of military governments in mostly West and Central African nations. Reference was made to this by the earlier speaker. Guinea, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. The last three just exited ECOWAS last week. What is the implication of this? Is it going to encourage more African nations to think of going back to military rule? Yes, our political governance has not been satisfactory. It has not left the average citizen better. Yet, we don't think that military governance is any better because in Africa and West Africa we have tried it. But that seems to be the new catch. How do we deal with that? What measures do we take as a nation, as a people, as a region to halt this? These are realities confronting us, and nobody should feel unconcerned. When your neighbor's house is on fire, do not say it's not my business. It's just cool as well become your business before you realize it. So let's not be unconcerned with what is going on around us. And that's why this conference is dealing on this subject as a start. Part of the democratization is the loss of faith in elections. We have disputed elections in many nations, leading to long judicial disputations and acrimony, promoting instability and erosion of democratic ideals. How do we deal with this? And what's the impact in our ability to invest short-term and long-term? Instability caused by political instability and loss of faith. That loss of faith, of course, has grown to loss of confidence in the judiciary, an increasing challenge to the maintenance of law and order. Because when you start losing faith in judiciary, then they go to self-help. And self-help is a threat to peace. It's a threat to law and order. The heightened insecurity in many African nations, especially the Sahel, will be worsened by this rebellion, by this military junta in these neighboring nations. Nigeria particularly will be troubled because we can see an uptick of terrorism, banditry, kidnapping, and insurgency. And I'm not sure there is no relationship between what is happening in this neighboring states and this uptick. We've had these things the last 8-10 years, but I think what we're seeing in the last 1 or 2 months, something is beating a drum somewhere. With some dancers that we can see. That should bother us, and we must spend some time thinking of what to do. We have a regime of further depreciation of local currencies all over Africa, particularly in Nigeria. The rate of depreciation of our currency is alarming to me. And I don't know whether it's the way I feel, it's the way others are feeling. Every day you see there's a decline, there's a depreciation. When will we learn to do this? And I'm not seeing any efforts to arrest it. So we must prepare for real wahala when it comes to the value of our local currencies. Of course, we have the same story in Angola, in Malawi, Zambia, and Burundi. These are countries with the worst performing currencies in the most recent time. There is so-called fuel subsidy removal in Nigeria. My question is there a possible reintroduction in the face of global pressure on the elimination of fossil fuels, and also when we speak about the depreciation and the inflation I just referenced in my earlier discussion. We see a worsening employment market, we see low productivity, we see increasing poverty. Overall, we have a sustained high cost of governance and corruption. So when you put all this into the milieu, you find that we are facing difficult times. The road ahead is rough. And one of the solutions to any problem is awareness. First, be aware of your circumstance. That is part of the solution. Because if you're not aware, then you have serious problems. So let me go to the second part of this presentation, which is how do we confront these challenges or these uncertainties after we have identified them. I think that's what the leadership agenda summit is all about. It's for us to interrogate these global uncertainties and then decide what we do about them. How do we deal with them? And how do we solve them? And I'm clear that this area of political and business leaders and this summit will attempt to address this issue so that we're not promote mitigating and survival strategies. Leadership must provide a path out of the consequences of these uncertainties. But for me, it fully represents critical responses to these challenges, especially in Africa. Number one is adopt good public and corporate governance practices. Good corporate governance for the private sector and good public governance for the public sector. This is the primary challenge of leaders in Africa. They need to implement a new governance paradigm that is anchored on the following pillars: responsibility, fairness, transparency, transparency, accountability. So responsibility, fairness, transparency, accountability are the four pillars of good corporate governance or good public governance. Number two is to prevent corruption and reduce cost of governance and cost of doing business for those involved in the private sector. We need to ensure that citizens achieve high quality of lives. Three is promote competitive operating environment. We need to remove all obstacles to promote private sector investment. And three key things here will be policy stability, corruption, and insecurity. If we get these three out of the way, the investment environment and climate will improve, and we will not only have foreign direct investment, but domestic investment and a better quality of life for citizens. It will attract investors and clients and consumers with incentives. We should also intensify marketing to enhance growth or presentation of our national and corporate image, because they all are segments of creating an investment promotive environment. Nigeria, Africa should focus on export trade. Export trade is so important, and I think if I were the president of this country, I would be ringing a bell, begging everybody to export something. Export all exportables. Generate foreign exchange, minimize the imports as much as possible. This is what we should do in line with deregulation, in line with freeing the dollar. You free the dollar, nothing happens. There's no production, there's no export. We're depending on oil. It will keep falling till one day they'll go back to managing the currency. There's no way they will not go back to start fixing it. Because there's no counterbalance. It's a free fall. And everything that is a free fall will pay the law of gravity. But if we are to export more, generate more foreign exchange, minimize import, check what are the substitutes. You can replace certain things we export, we import. Of course, if when the existing market, we should focus on what I call the high volume, high margin products. If you have a product mix, so they can focus on those ones that give you better return. You need to enter new markets. And if you're entering new markets, focus on the growing market segments. Extensive deployment of technology. Africa can leverage the technology to drive systems and processes, both in the public and private sector, and achieve global competitiveness. That is a way we can overcome the limitations that we have, and we can leapfrog technology. And I recommend that we should also be found in adopting AI. It is desirable to obtain a first mover advantage. Number 6, hedge against currency and devaluation inventory risk. Unleash productive capabilities and capacities. Get everybody working in your environment. Let everybody contribute to the profit of the business. Not just be cost center, but also profit centers. Buy $1 and sell $1. Buy today than tomorrow, because tomorrow inflation is going on, depreciation is going on. Minimize payables in forex. If you can pay in local currency, better for you. Seek export opportunities. Like I said, that should be the song of Nigeria, should be the song of Africa. Let's export all exportables. But unfortunately, nobody is singing the song. And I hope we can raise the chorus. Hopefully, they hear our voices. Review risk and mitigate. This is the time for every company, every business, every nation, every client, every jurisdiction to have a template that enables us to have its hands on the risk that the company or the business or the nation or the organization faces. Human safety and security. Decentralized security apparatus, we talk about it in the nation. How we can make sure that we have security all over the place and from the local end. This is a time that cash and asset safety must be attention of the state. Because when are getting poorer, they get more ingenious in how to acquire those assets. When banditry, kidnapping is going on, then cash becomes an issue. We need to be sure we have adequate insurance and look at our financing and loans portfolio, because those in foreign exchange, those in local currency, and in other currencies, we need to look at them and be sure that we are moving from where we have the highest risk to where we have the lowest risk. Number 8, avoid surprises. Develop alternative plans, plan B and plan C. Enlarge intelligence gathering and share. I'm sure our security experts will tell us that intelligence gathering is critical and very, very important at this time. Share prosperity in the community, because when you share prosperity, there's greater peace. Keep abreast of developments, be on top of matters, and see them to the end. Do today's work today. Avoid procrastination, because the no's are already too much. So why do you want to carry what you can solve today to the next day when you do not know what will happen? And certain things will suddenly happen. Every day you turn on the radio and television, there's a new news, some kidnapping somewhere, something is going wrong. So deal with today and do not postpone to tomorrow. Be extraordinarily proactive, minimize your activity. Finally, leverage strengths. This is the time to ask for strength, to need to get together. I say seek alliances and partnerships. It's not time to depend on yourself alone. Seek who can help you. I can cooperate with somebody. I can leverage. It is important, because that's why we live in communities, to be able to relate with each other, assist each other, and give each other a shoulder to cry upon. I always talk about seeking divine help, because these are tough times with so many uncertainties. There's a limit to where our power, knowledge, and wisdom can carry us. So we need God's power, knowledge, and wisdom. He says we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. And He's there to help us overcome obstacles and difficulties and assures us that when we pass through the waters, He'll be with us. Through the rivers, they will not overflow us. When we pass through the fire will not burn us. That's what the Lord tells me, and I believe I have experienced. I also think we must establish a relationship with Him, because He says that those that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint. We need help. We need assistance from ourselves. The ones who cannot get, we ask for the Creator, who is always willing to help us. Because they say the days are evil, and therefore we need to be prepared. I want to thank you for your attention and pray that you enjoy this summit and take away some nuggets that will assist you confront the uncertainties and achieve new heights in 2024. Thank you very much, and God bless you.